child could die any moment.
I will stop him.
Let's start talking.
Go ahead and call it.
Start talking then. Well, Grandma, what did you think of this movie?
I can't remember if I've ever seen anything quite like it. The depiction of the life in Russia, after World War II, was enormously depressing. It was people were so paranoid, and rightly so. If you live under a regime of total suspicion, and not just suspicion, but violent acts against ordinary people, you would tend to become very paranoid.
Back up. You were talking about
how
the depiction of life in Russia.
Yeah.
Soviet Union, actually, wasn't it?
It was USSR at the time, yes. Right. And it was not a pleasant place to be, evidently. If you were an ordinary person trying to live a regular life. And everything about that part of the film lent its weight to that feeling. It was dark. It was depressing. The people dressed in dark clothes. There was, nothing cheerful.
Gray and joyless.
Yes, enormously. But not just that, fearful.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine, and the film makes it very clear what it was like to live like that. You towed the party line or you didn't survive, basically, was the line. Another thing about the characters that I appreciated was the relationship between him and his wife, and how she became aware of the quality of the man she was married to. She wasn't positive toward him at the beginning, and we saw that, as watching the story, in her, in little glimpses of her, she wasn't really into, this marriage. And even halfway through the story, she still wasn't too sure what to think of this man that was her husband. But once he had chosen not to renounce her, in spite of what that would mean, her attitude she was more open.
And you really saw it evolve over the course of the whole movie. Yeah.
Until she would not leave his side, and was willing to fight to the death, although it didn't quite come to that, to save him and herself. It was a good thing, and well done by the actors. I thought the story evolved, showed how important that change in the relationship was for everything. And he, gave her the option, gave her the out. I promise you, if you want to leave, you can leave, and that I won't stand in your way, that kind of thing. But the whole mood of the movie, I thought that the movie makers did a really good job. Anyway, I've never quite seen a movie like it. It was almost equally as depressing. It was depressing, but then uplifting at the end, So, I don't know whether to say I enjoyed it. I thought it was an excellent film, but I'm not sure that I enjoyed it. And the story was so, it was gripping. It was very gripping, but in a kind of gruesome way.
Well, it's another one of those sort of movies where they take you somewhere where you haven't been before.
Definitely that.
A time and a place and a people.
Definitely.
I mean, you got to really again understand the people, the way that they were dealing with everyday life.
Is this in any way a true story? Is it based on anything?
It's based on a novel, I believe, but again, I would imagine the research is
quite possible.
Is pretty accurate.
Could have been a true story.
Yeah.
And the depiction of the way the people lived is quite obviously true.
Yeah. Again, I think the research is probably pretty true. And again, this whole attitude they had about how there's no murder in paradise, there's no murder in Russia. Again,
you paradise. They're so far from paradise, and it was. It made you want to laugh every time they said that, but they were so deadly serious. You couldn't laugh.
Well, but you had to understand the way the people were dealing with it.
Yeah.
They're all in denial. The official policy of the government was denial. So much so that they didn't even have a homicide division in the police department. They didn't need one because there's no murder in paradise.
Unfortunately, there was.
So again, all of that, how that all evolved, is just as interesting as in a way, as the story of the people, the story of the murder mystery. I mean, all of that sort of takes you along through this depiction they have of the society and the time and the people and all of that. You got that view as all of that other stuff went along, as the story of the people and their relationship went along, as the story of the mystery went along.
Well, and his friend, whose son was one of the victims.
Yeah, well,
he was caught in that bureaucratic.
He was caught in the
deny kind of thing. He couldn't even speak up for his dead son without retribution, and he finally paid.
But by and large, you liked it.
I thought the film was excellent. It's a very depressing story, but the movie makers got their point across.